With the rising RAM prices, my friend thought he'd be fine with 8 GB of RAM. It should be enough, right? Well, he regretted making this decision before the week ended. Here's why it happened, and a quick checklist to avoid wasting your money. My friend went into a store and saw that there were two models available for the laptop he wanted to get. One with 8 GB of RAM and 500 GB of storage, and another with 16 GB of RAM but only 250 GB of storage, and barely any difference in price. He purchased the 8 GB version thinking that he doesn't do anything hardware intensive on his laptop, so he should be fine with 8 GB of RAM and he can use the larger storage for more applications and files. He just wanted something for running Microsoft applications like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, have a few Chrome tabs open most of the time like Gmail, ChatGPT, YouTube, and meetings on Teams or Zoom. But once he began using the laptop, it quickly started slowing down whenever he was switching between applications. Using Chrome while in the middle of a Teams call made the browser stop responding, and trying to open Excel on top of that to demonstrate something live completely brought things to a halt. With modern workflows, people aren't typically using applications one at a time. They're switching between applications, and all these apps that are being used in the foreground are stored in the RAM. If apps like Excel, Teams, Outlook are opened up along with a few browser tabs, all of them will be syncing in the background, quickly filling up the RAM that you have. Think of the memory in your computer as shoe racks. RAM is the one out front, where you keep shoes that you use regularly, and the system drive as the boxes where you keep shoes that you aren't using right now. This makes applications like shoes. Think big chunky boots for demanding applications and flip-flops for background syncing. When your computer's RAM fills up and you still need to open up other applications, then your computer can't just close your applications. Instead, what it does is take that application and move its data from the RAM to the system drive, where your OS is stored. Kind of like moving your shoes out of the shoe rack into their boxes for some time. This process of moving data to and from the swap, if done frequently, decreases the battery life as well. The speeds that your drives operate at are much slower than your RAM, which is why you see some applications stuck loading while the computer makes room in the fast RAM and moves data between the two. If your system is an old hard disk drive, much slower than a solid state drive, then that performance hit feels worse. Quick checklist before you make a decision, and this will decide whether you regret it or not. What do you actually do daily? If you're opening tens of tabs and multitasking between different applications, 8 GB is the point where you will feel your laptop starting to choke. Is the RAM upgradable, or is it soldered onto the motherboard? If it's soldered, then you will be stuck with the capacity you choose today. Make your decision wisely. Is the RAM single channel, or is it dual channel? Dual channel will be faster and feel more responsive. How long do you plan on keeping the laptop? As time goes on and applications become more capable, they can get more demanding, which will make 16 GB the smarter baseline to go with. Don't try to go for the cheapest checkout price if it means sacrificing crucial components like RAM capacity, which can quickly turn into an issue if you judge wrong and leave you frustrated with the laptop you pick. That's the whole checklist. Here are a few ways that checklist can be implemented in your buying process. You see two laptops, one with a current generation CPU but 8 GB of RAM, and the other is a generation old but is coming with 16 GB of RAM. You should prioritize the larger capacity in that situation. If you're configuring your own laptop, then getting at least 16 GB of RAM and 500 GB of SSD capacity is the minimum comfortable combo for a majority of workloads. And finally, if you get an option to buy a laptop with upgradable RAM, then you can add or swap the RAM modules as the need arises. I will be covering what SSD specs actually matter and how to choose capacity for real workloads in an upcoming video. So be sure to subscribe if you're interested in that. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.